I thought I might do it a little differently today. Instead of a photo walk, what if I told you what I'm doing or why I'm doing or what I'm getting out of going out and shooting these photos? This morning, I went out a little bit after sunrise. So I wanted the sun to have come up, but not like really hit the top of the sky yet. So I didn't want to watch the sunrise, take that, cliche kind of photo, because sunrises are always better with their eye than the camera. I don't know. Not without a whole lot of Photoshop and processing. But that said, why am I shooting what I'm shooting? What am I looking for? What am I getting? And maybe more interestingly, what can it do to inspire you? So I went out shooting this morning, like I said, around sunrise, and I live in a town that's pretty photogenic in its own way. It's a factory town, a mill town. And what I started shooting at was, I thought I would go for architecture. I would shoot morning sunlight, very golden rich sunlight coming off of a lot of bricks and stuff like that, because a lot of the buildings in my town are like factory buildings. So when I went out, my only idea was, I'll just see what I can see. I'll see what makes this town a town. And I stole the idea partly. I mean, not that shooting buildings is like something novel, but there's a book I was reading by this guy, Stephen Shore, and I stole the book out of the library, and I didn't steal it, I took it out. And what I saw was that there were these incredible pictures of just very mundane main streets. And I got very motivated to try just like regular buildings in the town. And that's where I started to make my shots. One thing I'm trying to practice is something that photographer Bruce Gilden said. He said, I'm photographing myself out there, not myself physically, but mentally. It's my take on the world. And that's one of the things I'm doing. When I'm trying to make certain photos happen, I am trying to put my eye, my perspective, my thought, the thing that attracts me to it on the screen. So maybe that's another way you can look at it. Our eye really likes patterns, but the one thing we only love more than a pattern is a broken pattern. So we love to see something and then see the break in it, and for some reason this thrills us. That's why some really famous photos are of a line of things and then one thing slightly different. We love that sort of thing. But I definitely like to look for geometry. I love color. I love sort of the mix of how things go. Like I said earlier, the Stephen Shore project, where he was just taking everyday main streets, that really influenced me this morning. So I just wanted to get lots of pictures of places, and so I went after that. But because I live in a mill town, it's fascinating to see what you can come up with there. There's just so many very picturesque spots. It's like a movie set in some ways. It's like how people who have New York have some amazing things to shoot at. Pattern interruption, that's another thing. So for instance, a brick wall is kind of interesting. A brick wall with a door in it, gold. We love interrupting patterns. I think it's interesting that we'll look for that, like I said, that repetition, and then something breaking the repetition. The two together are what really catch us. Another thing that I do very unintentionally, but I'm going to pretend it's art, is there's a joke that Gary Winogrand never kept the skyline straight. And I have come to realize that so much of what I do is not really lined up with the skyline, but I'm okay with it. So then my very last bit of narration is an idea for a project that you could do as well. In this set of photos that I'm showing right now, I had a project in mind. I wanted to shoot sort of early morning town life. I wanted to show a lot of buildings, a lot of architecture, a lot of this is a place in America. You could do a similar thing by packaging a project. Now, it doesn't have to be that project, or you could start with the town where you are, or the city where you are, or the village where you are, or you could pick a project. I was thinking of doing a project called Blue and Round, but I would have two requirements. You couldn't use the sky or the ocean, and you couldn't use vehicle wheels, so tires, steering wheels, etc. And if you did a whole project called Blue and Round, but with those two requirements, you can't do those two things, it might be an interesting package. But whatever it is, one way to get yourself out and shooting and taking some creativity around with you is to put a small constraint on and then fill it up. Like say, I'm making a mental magazine of a thing, and let's do that thing. So there's probably a project in mind that you can have, and I support you for it. Maybe share it. Let's talk about it together after you make it.